Well, we're obviously well into Kansas City. This will be a big challenge. They very well coached. Obviously, Coach Reed's been doing it for a long time. Got a really good staff. A lot of good players on both sides of the ball, all three phases in the kicking game. And they really they've obviously played a couple games where they've been able to get away from some people here early and get off to a good start and really, put some pressure on you to keep up. So it's gonna take, a really good effort from all three phases. We're gonna need a good week of practice here. The guys came in with a good attitude today, ready to get started, and got an extra day, which is a good thing for this team. They do a lot of things, so it'll be good for us to have an extra opportunity to work.
Josh, you guys brought in Blake Martinez. Is he somebody that you can see helping out short term, maybe even on Monday night?
All the practice squad guys are gonna, they're all, I would say, available and preparing as if they were gonna play. As you saw, we've elevated somebody every week, so it's been, pretty consistent for us relative to injuries or how we need to play the game. We've had to elevate some people, so I feel like Blake has an opportunity to help us. Obviously, he's somewhat familiar with Patrick's defense and the terminology and those kind of things. So we'll see how it goes, and again, see what we need to do with the rest of the team based on the health, that we have on Monday. So all those guys would have an opportunity to potentially help us.
Update on Hunter Renfro. Is he going to maybe?
Yeah, he's. You'll see Hunter out there today. We're in a non-contact, phase at this point. So, again, just going one step at a time, and hopefully he can progress through that. But we'll take it as they tell us to take it.
Josh, taking you back a little bit to that 2019 AFC Championship game when you faced the Chiefs, what were a couple of things just from that game with this Chiefs team? A lot of those pieces still there. What were some things that you kind of learned about that team from that game?
You get out in front of them, and and then all of a sudden they come roaring back, and I think we were up 14-0, and they scored 31 points in the second half, and you just got to keep playing. I think this team is under Coach Reed. I mean, they're gonna keep firing bullets, and you have to keep playing and keep trying to slow them down defensively and try to score offensively to get out in front of them. They usually end up with an edge in the kicking game. They have great specialists, great returners. Coach Taub does a great job, in that area too. So there's really you can never relax, and I remember that game being one of those scenarios where you're probably going to be physically, mentally, and emotionally spent at the end of the game, whatever the result is, because it's just so hard to go in there and beat them, and the quarterback's special player, and they got a lot of good football players on their team, and like I said, Andy does a great job. So, there's never a moment where you can relax, and I think that was a good example. I've lived through it, but obviously we have a different team now, and they have a new team, different players. So we'll see how it goes, but there's definitely an element of you're going to need to play every single minute of the game. Like, that play could be the one that determines the outcome, because you never know when it's going to be the one.
Obvious when you play against him that you can watch all the film on Mahomes you want, but it's just those 3 or 4 plays that you just can't, like the other day with the 360. And can you just talk about that, how difficult it becomes, because you don't really know when it might happen?
Yeah, you just have to be, look, he's going to make some plays. That's not going to be a mystery. There's going to be some things that he does in the game that, he's a great player, and I think that, it's just, when you play a great player in any sport, they're gonna produce some moments like that during the course of the game. I think the biggest thing is you just have to try to be consistent and disciplined in your approach. And, if you can keep playing and have the right idea and, make it as hard as you can on them. I think everybody tries to do that, Some may have more success than others, but, you're not going to stop this guy from, doing some really, good things for their team. That's just the nature of this sport, and he's that kind of player. So, just make it as tough as we can on them. That's what we're going to try to do, and, hope they, try to make them have to earn everything that they get. And, but again, you can't get discouraged because he makes a great play. I mean, there's probably going to be a few of those, and, that's why, it's a team sport, and, we're going to have to come back and, score some points on our end too. So, it's just one of those things you're going to have to live with sometimes.
They are the masters of misdirection. How important is gap integrity and guys staying where they're supposed to be and not letting their eyes deceive them this week?
Yeah, really important. We use the phrase eye candy. It's like they want you to look over here, and then all of a sudden the ball's over here, and you're kind of, what happened, So, what has always impressed me about them is how well they execute those things. Everybody kind of giggles and laughs when you see them, throw an underhand pass to a fullback on a shovel pass, or Kelsey lines up at quarterback in the red zone and then, runs the ball in or runs an option or shovel pass, whatever it is. And, people kind of get a kick out of that. What's always impressed me is how precise they are and how detailed they are when they do those things. And look, players like to run things that are fun. That's what they enjoy that. And Andy has always been somebody that you, as an offensive coach, you watch, their things and you say, can we steal that from them, or would we call that, and some things are no, like you don't feel comfortable enough. But they obviously they got a great system. They have a great staff, come up with a lot of really unique, creative ideas. And for us defensively, it's just going to be whatever your assignment is, you have to do it, and you have to trust the other 10. You can't start trying to do somebody else's job, or you really get out of position and they can hurt you quick. So that'll be a big part of the game on Monday night.
Josh, you had Josh Jacobs run the ball quite a bit. You're still with your depth. It's been sparingly hit or miss. Zamir had a big run. What are you learning personally in terms of about your running backs room? You kept so many.
Yep.
And when at some point you have to incorporate them more, I can't imagine Josh can go 17 games with the lion's share.
Yeah. I think, this is, first of all, the number we kept is normal for us. I mean, we would probably almost always, because I count kind of Jakob in the tight end room, if you will. But the number is about normal for us. I'd say relative to Josh and his workload, I think he'll tell us, when it needs to be adjusted a little bit. And again, I said it the other day, JJ's one of those guys who doesn't, I've been around some guys that run 2 or 3 carries and then give you one of these and come out for a play or two, and JJ just doesn't have that. He wants to stay out there. It's almost like he gets better as the drive goes. And I think we'll be smart. Again, the limited number of carries we ended up with in the first few weeks, will probably help us here as we get going. We'll play Monday, then we have the bye. So it's always been one of those things where you kind of reassess it every few weeks and make sure that, somebody's body's not breaking down if they're carrying the ball quite a bit. But we'll use that depth, I'd say, when it's probably the right time to do it. But I just think if you got a player that's playing at a high level and playing very well at that position, it's really hard to take him off the field.
On the side note, when you say you look at your player, wait for them to give you the high sign or whatever, with what's going on in the NFL with concussion, when do you have to step in and say, no, you're coming out?
Yeah, when we did that a couple of times the other day, we just give him a rest on our own. But I think there's a lot of people that play all of the snaps in the game. The left tackle, the right tackle. There's a lot of people that play a lot of snaps. Derek obviously plays every one of them. Devontae generally plays all of them. So. You just be smart about it. Each position coach is down there on the field with us, so we can see when they need a break. Kennedy threw Zamir and Brandon in a few times the other day when he could tell that even if he didn't want to come out, it was probably time for him to do that. But, just being smart about when we think it's time for them to do it, because some guys will push themselves past the point of when it's smart, and then, maybe they're a little tired and miss something on the next play. So just try to, do it one play at a time.
Josh, there's been a lot of speculation that the league's going to do some adjusting to protocols and keeping guys in there longer for player safety, which is understandable. Have you heard anything directly yet from the league?
Not yet, but I would say whatever they do, it's for the right reasons. There's nothing more important than the health of the team. We talked about that this morning. So, we've had a few here in a few weeks. I don't think we're doing anything different on game day than anybody else is doing. But when the players don't feel, either themselves or don't feel right, we're urging them to make sure that they communicate that and do the right thing for their health. But whatever they tell us to do relative to the protocol, I think that's, if it changes, then that's the right thing to do and, protect the players.
On that note, are you able to provide just an update on Denzel? Because he told us after he left the locker room, he said, "I'm good, right about that." But as you say, you got to kind of protect themselves from themselves.
Yeah. Denzel's going through the process, the protocol. And so, again, there's things he has to go through and pass in order to kind of keep moving forward in the protocol. It's really, first of all, I don't have a medical degree and I'm not a doctor, but I know that each one of them, could be different, So, Hunter was different than Nate Hobbs, than Andre James, Denzel's Denzel, so whatever happens, we have all those steps in place. Our doctors do a great job of just making sure that we, go through them one at a time, and, whenever they're cleared, and, nothing to update on Denzel yet.
Josh, Darren Waller has gotten off to a slower statistical start so far this season. What do you think what's been the issue so far, and what could help him have a bigger breakthrough moving forward?
No issues. Just, I think sometimes, like I said, it's, where the ball goes and, how many targets and catches and those kind of things. Sometimes that's very circumstantial, to, how the defense played us, what options were available on the play, how did we protect. We look at the kind of the whole thing in totality. There's certainly opportunities that we've had potentially down the field or, in the red zone or on third down where, maybe we, something else occurred on the play and dictated that the ball either didn't get thrown there or what have you. But no concerns on that. He's doing a good job of his job, and we'll continue to try to get him involved in the passing game for sure.
You think that the tempo that you went with a couple times on Sunday kind of helped jumpstart the offense and get it going?
Yeah, I thought, I think the guys like that, and, the biggest thing we've stressed since we started doing some of that in the spring was the execution, Tempo in and of itself does nothing, it's really the execution that you perform at, when you're going quickly. And so I thought that was the biggest thing that we took away from that is, I don't know if it was 16 or 18 plays, whatever it was during the course of the game that we used it between that and the 2-minute drive before the half, that we were really able to communicate and everybody do their job right, and if you do that, then whether you huddle, don't huddle, you have a chance to have success. But I thought that, I thought our conditioning was okay. I thought our guys, it's the 4th game of the year. I thought we kind of worked ourselves into a point where, you have a chance to go out there and do some things maybe at a quicker tempo, and I thought they responded to it well.
Josh, on that, the run by Zamir White, Darren Waller throws a really good block, and then downfield, Devontae Adams throws a really good block. Number one, you're working with those guys for the first time. What's their buy-in on blocking, number one, and how important is that to the run game?
Yeah, you saw it. I think they all know. The reality is in the game of football, all the skilled players understand that they can't do anything if there aren't a whole bunch of other people that do their job first, and so Devontae knows that, if Colton Miller and Dylan Parham and Andre James and, the rest of the linemen, they don't block, then Devontae's never going to touch the ball, and so for the receivers and the tight ends in the running game, it's very much the same, That guy is your buddy. He has the ball and he's trying to make some yards to help us win. And, to me, they've been very unselfish going there. I think, a couple of the runs down there in the red zone went really hard in there to try to get the safeties and give him an opportunity to make extra yards. But I think it just speaks to the unselfishness of the team. Those guys are, really important play in the game, and there they are blocking in space and helping Zamir make a big play.
One more, Adam.
It's two, I'll go separately. First of all, you mentioned the bye week. Is there any difference in preparation in terms of getting ready to play a game before a bye? And in your experience, how much different is the kind of the attitude after the game in terms of how you perform, in going into a bye? Like the experience of the bye week, I guess, for the players. And the second question was the entire Vegas nation is on baby watch for Maxx Crosby. Is there a plan for Monday if that happens?
Yeah, I'm on watch too. I want to get it. I would like to have them have this, celebration here before we travel. But no, we'll have plans in place. Obviously, if we need to do that, You know, I was trying to tell him the other day a few tricks that I haven't used them, but my wife has, when it's time to, come on, let's get going, so sit on the ball and bounce and all that stuff. So, hey, you're trying to give them help and advice in any way you can, not just football. Yeah, that'll obviously all take care of itself, hopefully. Relative to the bye, I mean, there's no, it is what it is. Everybody knows our bye is next week, but I think the focus is entirely on, just preparing for the game, and you don't really worry about next week until, the game's over, and then we'll worry about the things we have an opportunity to do and try to help ourselves improve during the bye week. So we're full bore on to Kansas City now. Yeah.
Obviously, in the offseason, you look at the future, but when you look at Morrig, Robertson, and Hobbs, three very much players playing at a good level for you, and they're young.
Mhm.
Is it nerve-wracking relying on young players, or is it exciting seeing how they're playing now and thinking about how good they can be?
Yeah, very exciting. You could throw. There's a lot of people in that same conversation. I mean, Diablo is in there. Doing a great job, and John, Josh, Dylan, Thayer. I mean, we got I'd say a host of young players, Hunter. I mean, that are really, contributing in a lot of areas. I think in football, like, there's always that moment where, okay, it's their first time. Like we talk about Zamir, it's 3rd down and 2 in a very critical situation. And, we're out there on the field, and Zamir's in the backfield, and he's going to get the ball. Dylan's on the field, Thayer's on the field, and so you just, at some point, it's football, and you got to trust them, and I trust all of them, and whether they're a rookie, a new player to the team, once they're a Raider, they're a Raider. And I think, to me, just giving them the confidence to put them in there and give them a chance to play football. I mean, they've all played football all their lives. And to me, to let them go out there and just make plays, that's what they're here for. And at some point, you just cut the cord and get them in there and let them go, And once they've played a handful of snaps in a few games, I don't really look at them like, well, he's a rookie or he's a veteran or he's young or he doesn't have much experience. I think once they get in there and they get their feet wet, they just go. Yep, thank you. You got it.